Well, hey guys, how's everybody doing? Hope you're having a fantastic day like we're having here. Today we are putting together a comprehensive safety plan for flying with our drone. In this instance, we're going out to a new location that we've never been to. So we're going to virtually scout it, physically scout it. We're going to do a pre-flight checklist of our Spark before we put it up in the air, and then we're going to follow that plan as we go through and actually fly the drone. So hang with us. It's going to take us more than a minute to talk through the plan and what all we do, but in reality it's super easy. It takes just a couple of extra minutes before you get your drone up in the air, but it's going to help you be safe, make sure that you're being legal, make sure you're being responsible, and make sure that you're not going to lose your drone. Follow with us as we go down this path. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the proposed area that we're going to go fly in is legal to do so. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up on our device. We're going to pull up one of the many different applications that are available that allows us to check for that. In this case, this is an application called AirMap, and I've went ahead and preloaded it here so that you guys can see this is actually the area we are going to be flying in. There is actually a sunflower patch right here, and the reason we're going to this area, this farm, is that my wife is a photographer and she is doing some senior portraits for a high school senior. They are going to be taking pictures in the sunflower patch here. I've also been told that right along here is a Christmas tree farm. Between the two, hopefully we can get some cool video and or pictures from the drone. Now, I will not be involved in the senior photo shoot. That is strictly for my wife. I'm just coming out to have some fun and explore a new property. Hopefully this pond right here will be pretty as well. Right now we are virtually exploring the property to see can we fly there legally and can we fly there safe. So in this case, this is AirMap. This is an app that's available for download in iTunes and for iOS, and I'm sure it's available on Android as well. And this allows us to double check to make sure the area we are in is legal to fly in. In this case, we have no yellow, so that tells us we're not within 5 miles of an airport. In this case, we're not even in a helicopter landing area or anything like this. So this is a perfect area to be flying in terms of legally. And one of the other applications that's available out there is the FAA's Before You Fly app. And this is the same farm right here. You'll notice right here in this area is the actual farm where we'll be flying at. And there are no warnings from the FAA for this particular area. So between the two of those, I usually check at least the two. There's multiple other applications out there that you can use for checking, but those are two of the best that I have found. I personally like AirMap, but Before You Fly from the FAA is really straight from the source, and so that's the one you really need to kind of look at. Now, this right here is Google Earth. So we've already checked that we are legal to fly in this area. Now we're going to do kind of a physical check. What does the property look like where we'll be flying? What are the obstacles? What do we need to keep an eye out for to be safe when we get there? And I like to do this, pull it up in Google Earth or Google Maps or MapQuest or any of the different applications that are out there that allow you to get an idea from a satellite view of what the property looks like. So in this case, the property is pretty much this green area in here, minus these couple of houses down here in the bottom left. And so this is the area that this particular property owner owns. So this is the area we'll be trying to stick to. The rest of this outside of it is, mostly farmland. Across the road, there's more houses, but, as long as you stay above that road there, it is mostly just farmland. So it's really not a big deal. But what are the things that I am looking for? So things I'm mostly looking for are power lines. They're obstacles, right? Obstacles that we could potentially run into with our Spark and areas that we should avoid. In this case, we're talking about a farm, so we're probably not have to worry about too many people. If we're talking about a populated area, we need to be looking, okay, well, where are people likely to be concentrated at? That's really not a case for a farm here. So we're really looking for safety issues, which is really obstacles. So what are obstacles? Generally, it's going to be power lines, trees, and buildings. So, of course, the first thing you see we've got buildings here in the middle. We've got a line of trees over here on the side. We've got trees kind of dotted sporadically throughout. And then the big thing that I see here, one of the things that pops out immediately is we've got this, it looks like a big distribution line going through the property here. So I'm probably not even going to mess with that at all to come over here on this side of the property. I don't even want to go near that. I think that's going to be a huge mess. So what I have done is I've actually taken kind of a screenshot of this, and it's actually from a different perspective, I think, but and have put it into just paint.net that allows me to kind of outline the different areas of the property that I think might be things to keep in mind, right? All right, so the skinny red line here is the property line. The big red lines here are the areas where I think that there are power lines. Now, the one along the road here is just kind of it looks to be your normal power line with kind of not very tall poles, maybe 40 feet tall, something like that. And then you've got a power line coming up the driveway that supplies the buildings here. And then you've got that big distribution line that goes along here. Again, I don't even want to go near this distribution line. I don't think that's something we're really going to keep an eye out for when we physically get to the property. And then I've just marked in green here where some of the trees are that I think potentially could be a problem. From this view, it's impossible to really get an idea of how big the trees are, and are they going to be low-lying trees that you can just pop right over and get a cool view, or are they big massive trees that are really tall? So those are things to kind of keep in mind. I don't normally do this. I've just done this illustration for you guys here, but it just kind of pointing out some of the things that we want to keep an eye out for. And of course, we would want to mark buildings here. Those are going to be items we want to keep an eye out for as well. So that's really what I see, at least from this view, what I think are potential issues. Once we physically get there, those are things that I can physically check to see, are these really issues or not. Now, one of the other great things about Google Earth that I'm going to switch back to here is you can actually get a street view. So I'm going to pop my little guy down here on the street view. This area right here is what I've been told is the sunflower patch, and then this area here is the Christmas trees. And I've been told the rest of this is just kind of regular crops and not really utilized a whole lot. So this is probably the area that's the most visually interesting and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a street view right here along the street, and you can start to get an idea of what it physically looks like. You can see we've got a short little power line or telephone line here. You've got that line of trees along the property line there to keep an eye out for. As we scroll around, this is looking back towards the buildings. The buildings are back up in there, but there's a little cluster of trees here. That looks like a big tree, which you couldn't really, and that one looks like a big tree, which you really couldn't see very well on the overhead satellite view. Those trees didn't, you couldn't tell that was a really tall tree right there, and that was a really tall tree. I actually thought these trees were going to be much bigger, but I think these trees are actually way bigger here. So that's those are things that when you're just looking at a satellite view, you don't have a chance to look at a street view like this that you can't really get a feel for. So and then as I roll down the street, I can see here's the Christmas tree farm area, and then you see that big distribution tower there, and you can see that it's got a lot of lines. It's kind of hard to see there, but there's a lot of lines going along there. So that's, again, not an area I want to mess with. And we can see that there's a power line that goes up along the driveway there up towards the building. So that's something that we want to keep an eye out for as well. Looks like it's really just one line there. And if I wanted to do a low flight along these trees, that I think I could sneak under that line no problem and still be super safe, or go make sure and go up above it. This kind of gives you an idea of what the property looks like once we get out there. I think one of the things that would be cool would be to do a flight where you're coming along. You maybe start at this right at this tree and do a low fly over of the sunflower patch and through the Christmas tree area, but you want to stop before you get to this area because it looks like there's high and low lines there. Well, that is a virtual look at the property. So now once we physically get out to the property, we'll take a look and see what it physically looks like and get an idea if there's additional obstacles, or if there's things we saw in here that really aren't an issue once we get out there. It took me much longer to talk through this than I would really actually spend before going out to property. It's just one of those things you look at, take maybe 30 seconds to look at, just get a feel for the property, and then bam, you're off and going. All right. Thanks for joining. We'll catch you.